Welcome to Cherish Ephesians 6:4. The title of this week's article is a question. Does God exist? So this is part of a series that I'm doing called Don't Believe Christians in the Bible? ? So please pass along to a friend or loved one who may be helped by thinking through this objection to Christianity. So back to the question. That question, does God exist, and the possibility that he does, is more than an exercise in curiosity. It's downright scary. And why do I say that? Because if God exists, there is a being that is completely foreign to us, and a being that has powers infinitely greater than us. And here is the only sane thought that follows that. What does he want from me? So, what have most people thought about this question in the past? Well, many people believe that God exists, but they don't believe the same things about God. As you probably know, some people have believed that there are many gods battling out the affairs of men. Some believe that there are many gods, each having power over a particular thing in the universe, such as a god of fire or a god of sun, and so on. And another popular belief is that there is a God, but he doesn't get involved in the affairs of men. He just watches. But here's the interesting thing. While there is a vast disagreement about who or what they think God is, most everyone believes that there is something. It's as if all of us have been hardwired to have some idea about the existence of God. So that begs another question. Although most everyone believes in some kind of God or higher power, why do most people decide to avoid pursuing any additional knowledge on the subject? It's almost like they willingly decide to avoid thinking about it. I know that was the case for me at one time. I just didn't want to think about it because the possible implications were life-changing. So how can we know the answer to this incredibly important question? I believe we can answer the question without reading books or speaking to people from different religions or belief systems. You see, I'm not trying to answer the question about which belief system is true. No, I'm just trying to answer the question about the existence of God. And I believe we just need to look with our eyes and apply some good old-fashioned common sense to get the answer. So when was the last time you went to the beach? Some people plan their entire year around their annual vacation at a favorite body of water, and they do it because when they are there, they never tire of looking out at the water and marveling at its beauty. Others love the sound of the waves that roll in, while still others have their soul lifted up by the vastness of it all. I doubt there has ever been a person who, after gazing at the scene before them, did not lift up their eyes and give praise to the sky above, even if they don't believe in God. Or how about the mountains? Are you a camper or a hiker or skier or hunter? Have you not stopped again and again at every vantage point where you could to survey the mountains and hills around you, and you thought to yourself, how amazing this is? What this visual gem does to your senses is wonderful, yet inexplicable. And then there are the stars. I've laughed at the scientific declarations over the last few decades of my life. I remember when scientists said that they declared that the galaxy the Earth lives in is vast, and the number of stars in the galaxy was about 10 billion stars. Then a few years later, they declared that there were about 15 billion stars. And a few years after that, they estimated 25 billion stars. Are you starting to see the trend of man's inability to understand the size of our galaxy? Well, let's fast forward to today's scientific knowledge. According to NASA, there are somewhere between 100 and 400 billion stars just in our galaxy. But wait, how many stars are there in all of the galaxies? According to the European Space Agency, quote, "For the universe, the galaxies are our small representative volumes, and there are something like 10 to the 11th power to 10 to the 12th power stars in our galaxy, and there are perhaps something like 10 to the 11th power or 10 to the 12th power galaxies. With this simple calculation, you get something like 10 to the 22nd power to 10 to the 24th power stars in the universe. This is only a rough number, as obviously not all galaxies are the same. Just like on a beach, the depth of the sand will not be the same in different places." Unquote. Okay, I'm not even going to try to tell you what that number is because I'm just staggered trying to even imagine the size of it all. After we allow pondering the size and beauty that we can see in the universe, I have two questions about the existence of the oceans and mountains in the universe. First, how did they get there? And second, how is all of this holding together? In other words, why does the sun keep warming our planet so life can exist? Why doesn't it just burn out or explode? What makes those waves on the sea continue to move through the oceans and lap against the seashores everywhere on the planet? And why isn't there another planet that has life? There isn't any other planet that has what we have. The fact is that if our planet were located anywhere else in the galaxy, we would not survive. Any further away from the sun, we would freeze, and any closer to the sun, we would burn up. And how does our planet keep spinning? And for that matter, why doesn't it slow down or speed up? All of these things you can see unassisted with your eyes, but there is another universe of incredible things that will stagger you with wonder, and that is what you can see with a microscope. I'm not going to go full nerd on you, but the world is made up of microscopic particles that are bonded together with other particles circling around them or emitting from them. How does this happen? And why does it continue to hold together? Well, all of those things that we see and are amazed by are nothing compared to this one last thing: us. Yes, construction and design of human beings are the greatest examples of complexity, beauty, and mystery. Nothing in the universe can compare to the body and mind of a human being. Each human being has a unique personality, has the capacity to make intelligent choices, experience a multitude of emotions such as love, and have a desire to worship. Can we answer the question of the existence of God? Yes. With all that we can actually see and experience every day, there is an overwhelming amount of evidence that there must be a God. If we consider the mind that it would take to design what we see, and the power and wisdom that would be required to hold it all together, we cannot conclude otherwise. But wait, what about all those who don't believe in God and have constructed arguments for alternative reason for the creation and maintenance of the universe, as well as the complexity of a human being? It is true. There are many theories that argue for other ways that the universe was created and how human beings came to be what they are today. Of course, the most well-known theory for the creation of the universe comes from, quote-unquote, the Big Bang Theory. The Big Bang Theory believes that the universe's creation began with one gigantic explosion, and life began afterwards with some random chemical interactions. To answer the question as to whether this could be true or not does not require any education. All that is required is an answer to this question: is it possible for anything, such as a huge explosion of materials or Big Bang, is it possible for it to come out of nothing, which was what existed before creation? And the answer is no. It is impossible for material to explode if there was no material to explode from. Simply put, from nothing, nothing comes. The other argument regarding the creation of the universe has to do with how creation began with the Big Bang theory and eventually produced human beings. It's Darwin's theory of evolution. That is, over billions of years, the primordial sludge that formed from chemical reactions evolved to become all sorts of plants and animals, and eventually human beings. Here again, you would think that you need many years of higher education to intelligently enter into a conversation about evolution, but you don't. You just need to consider the evidence that you can plainly see. The fact is that even though many thoughtful scientists have produced many wonderful renderings and videos filled with computer-enhanced graphics, there is no evidence that our ancestors were monkeys, and there is no missing link that shows there were ever human beings that were less human than we are today. None. Let's wrap this up with one more common objection to the existence of God, and that is, quote-unquote, I can't see him. There are many things in our lives that we can't see, but we know they exist because we see what they do. This reminds me of my fascination with trains as a young boy. My friends and I loved to hang out on the railroad tracks, yes, on the railroad tracks, at the end of our street. The train ran through 2 times each day, and we would place all sorts of things on the tracks just to see what the train might do to them. We knew if we got caught, we would be in big trouble, so we would put our ears down to the rail to listen for the train in the distance. We couldn't see it, but we could pick up the vibrations in the rail. When the vibrations grew loud enough, we made sure that we had everything on the rails, such as coins, tree branches, soda cans, and frogs. Yes, I said frogs. And hightailed it into the woods. As the train arrived, we could feel the power of the train through the ground and hear the sounds of its massive engines and its blaring horn, but we couldn't see it. Shortly after it passed, we ran to the tracks to see what the giant steel wheels had done to our coins and such. We never saw the train itself, but we did see day after day its handiwork. Based on what we could see with our eyes, the coins, hear with our ears, the horn, and touch with our hands, the vibrations through the rails, there was no doubt the train existed. So it is with God. We have so much evidence that he exists that it seems even inanimate objects like the seas, the mountains, and sky are shouting to our hearts, God exists, and he is amazing in every way. And when we experience these wonders of creation, there is something that lifts our spirits and moves us to praise. That, dear friend, is the foreshadow of what we were created to do. Worship God. I hope you would like to learn more about the one true God and his creation. If so, I suggest you begin the journey by reading the very first book of the Bible. It's called the Book of Genesis. Having a Christian friend who could help guide you through the book may be very helpful as well. And if you're wondering if the Bible is true, please listen to the audio in this playlist called Is the Bible True? I put a link in the article. Thanks so much for listening in. Hope to see you again.